Hi, I'm Peter Lee, and this is Newsbud's China Watch. This week, one belt, one road, and a couple wars. China inches away from confrontation with North Korea and toward conflict with India. Also, Miles Kwok goes large. Day of reckoning for Erdogan's Uyghur adventure, and anti-Chinese agitation shadows Indonesia. This is the week of the One Belt, One Road Forum, basically Woodstock for China's trillion-dollar infrastructure play across Eurasia, the Middle East, and Africa. Is anything actually going to happen at this lavish conference? Who knows? Who cares? The only question is, what national leaders are going to show up in Beijing to give face to Chinese President and OBR architect Xi Jinping? Well, according to VOA, just China's clients and allies and dictators and such, you know? Well, leaders of a bunch of Asian and African states, but no important white people. Well, no white people from Western democracies. Well, no white people from Western European Western democracies. Hey, leaders from the hyper-indebted pigs don't count. The international community just doesn't take this China infrastructure play seriously. Well, the United States, Japan, France, Germany, and the UK didn't send their national leaders, they just sent official delegations instead, just like North Korea did. At press time, the only significant holdout was India. India's stated reason was the intrusion of the OBR corridor into Gilgit-Baltistan, a region on China's border occupied by Pakistan, but claimed by India as part of the Kashmir dispute. The unstated reason is that OBR is seen, at worst, as China's strategic encirclement of India and, at best, undercutting India's cherished goal of isolating and crippling Pakistan. As noted above, the United States did send a delegation, led by National Security Council Special Assistant for Asia Matt Pottinger, and in a press release, the U.S. declared it recognizes the importance of China's One Belt and One Road initiative. This statement, a much yearned-for get for Xi Jinping, and one that simply repeated a declaration by the United Nations that the U.S. had already voted for in March, provoked heartache for Obama-era pivoteers, who have staked their policy on the idea that the United States would somehow parlay its hard and soft power assets into a credible China containment alliance that would cause Asia to just say no to the blandishments of OBOR. Global response to the OBOR forum is an indication that Chinese money talks, and pivoteer promises that Asia would enjoy a free trade and security bonanza if only it spurned China for the United States and the TPP. Well, for some reason, it has been ignored that a likely reason for Pottinger to join the OBOR junket is to have the opportunity to interact semi-officially with Chinese and North Korean officials in Beijing, what's called 1.5 tracking. Not unofficial, like the 2-track meetings that just took place between U.S. ex-officials and the North Koreans in Oslo, but also not the official track. With the widely expected election of accommodation-minded Moon Jae-in as president of South Korea, the North Korean situation has officially entered into the dialogue phase. Moon has signaled his willingness to talk to China about THAAD and to talk to North Korea about, well, whatever might make North Korea happy. And North Korea's ready to talk too. North Korea did test fire a missile on May 14th, but it did not cross the ICBM red line, and it splashed down into the waters of Russia's exclusive economic zone. I attribute this to North Korea's sensitivity to South Korean and Japanese objections over test firing of missiles into the seas between Japan and the Korean Peninsula. To use Winston Churchill's expression, the move from war to jaw might be bewildering to U.S. consumers of news, who have been primed to expect a war between the madman of Pyongyang and the dingbat of Washington. But it was always in the cards. For the background of the possibilities and pitfalls of the Trump administration's play of the China card to attempt to neutralize North Korea, watch my China Watch video, Plan Trump. If North Korea doesn't denuclearize, we screw China. Meanwhile, from the also dingbat quadrant, Chinese rappers released an infuriatingly arrogant and patronizing track, urging the little brothers of South Korea to give up on THAAD. Considering that at the exact same time China let this drop, it is throttling K-pop inside the PRC as retaliation for THAAD, it really makes you wonder who's got their hand on the switch in Chinese soft power land. If regional relations are taken out of the hands of the rappers, there's a slim chance that between them, China and the United States can provide enough security guarantees for North Korea to give up its nuclear arsenal. Let's see what happens. Amid these positive developments, there are also clouds on the horizon for China and for Xi Jinping. Miles Kwok, the renegade Chinese billionaire who has promised shattering revelations of corruption by Xi Jinping right-hand man Wang Qishan, upped his game by releasing an English-language YouTube instead of the usual Chinese-only stuff. In it, Kwok cited the fact that he had purchased a $1.1 billion super yacht as proof that his money is clean and not dirty, as PRC partisans have been alleging. I didn't realize that owning a 167-meter super yacht was a proof of financial probity, but I'm not a billionaire. More significantly for Xi Jinping, Kwok promised a forthcoming mega global news conference airing his allegations, and also revealed he has been in contact with the legal team of Ling Wancheng, a wealthy businessman who fled China and is in hiding somewhere. Ling has been called potentially the most damaging defector in the history of the PRC. Popcorn, please! In last week's China Watch, I pointed to what looked like a competing corruption story pushed by Caixin magazine and its publisher Hu Shuli to distract from Kwok's allegations. Well, this week, Kwok characterized Hu Shuli as Wang Qishan's cat's paw and also the enemy of Xi Jinping. More popcorn, please! So it looks like Kwok is still negotiating with authorities in the PRC to stay stumm, which might be another reason why the Western press isn't ready to incarnate him as the spirit of liberty and leader of the anti-corruption resistance. At the same time this media bandwagon rolled on, a matter of more profound worry inched into prominence. The biggest security issue in Asia, I would say, is not North Korea and its nukes. It is the growing threat of the relocation of jihadi militants and their cause from the Middle East to Asia. Although it would be difficult to be more irresponsible than the United States, which set up and then walked away from the jihadi infrastructure in 1980s Afghanistan, Turkish President Erdogan was also extremely irresponsible in setting up a pipeline for Uyghur Muslims from the People's Republic of China to use forged passports to exfiltrate from China and fight in Syria against Assad. I wrote about this from the Chinese end a couple years ago, and it was recently confirmed by court documents from a trial in Turkey. Turkish journalist Abdullah Bozkurt, who I suppose is fortunate to be in exile rather than in jail like many Turkish journalists, estimated that in 2014 the Turkish intelligence service MIT was funneling 500 Uyghur fighters per month into Syria. By the Syrian government's estimate, there are now around 5,000 Uyghur jihadis in Syria, and it is working actively with the Chinese government, which is seen as a key source of diplomatic and financial support, to stamp them out. At the other end of the pipeline, it appears that the U.S. and Afghan governments are making serious gestures to the PRC to prevent those fighters from establishing themselves in havens in Afghanistan. The gigantic bomb that created such a gigantic ruckus before everybody moved on was targeting ISIS Khorasan, which is considered to be a primary potential destination for Central Asian fighters relocating toward China. In Central Asia, China's on the winning side of the power and population equation when it comes to suppressing anti-Han Chinese activity. That's not true in Southeast Asia. In countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Vietnam, and Thailand, the Chinese diaspora forms a prosperous and often resented minority. In Indonesia, fundamentalist Islam has entered into the anti-China mix. Regional opinion was rather shocked and alarmed at the conviction of Basuki Tjahjanpurnama, known as Ahok, who is the governor of Jakarta and a close ally of President Joko Widodo. Governor Ahok was convicted for a religious offense. While campaigning for re-election in September 2016, Ahok, a Christian, criticized his opponent's use of a passage in the Quran to claim that voting for him was un-Islamic. At first, Ahok was put on trial for blaspheming Islam and the Quran, an extremely serious charge. Then, as the highly politicized case wound its way through the court system, the charge morphed into insulting Muslims, and prosecutors asked for only 1 year's probation. The judges found Ahok guilty and, instead of sentencing him to 1 year's probation, sentenced him to 2 years in prison. Now, Ahok's sentence is being appealed by the prosecutors. The context is that Ahok had been targeted by a militant Islamist movement, the National Movement to Safeguard the Fatwas of the Indonesian Ulemas Council, known by its initials as the GNPF-MUI, to energize its followers and display and exercise its political clout. In December, the group put hundreds of thousands of people in the streets of Jakarta and brought about the political and legal downfall of Ahok. According to Alan Nairn, who probably knows Indonesia better than any other American journalist, the massive street actions were allegedly orchestrated by the Indonesian military as part of a plot to weaken President Joko Widodo and ultimately push him from office. Ahok's remark concerning the Quran passage simply provided an excuse for the anti-Joko Widodo forces to play the Muslim card. It turns out Ahok is a twofer, not just a Christian, but also an ethnic Chinese. Anti-Chinese agitation is a perennial feature of Indonesian politics that the powers that be either encourage or suppress according to their priorities of the moment. Now, for the allegedly army-backed opposition, it looks like the priority is fanning the anti-Chinese flames. After Ahok's sentencing, the leader of the GNPF-MUI, Bakhtiar Nasir, told Reuters that the next stage of his campaign would be against the greed of the Chinese community that makes up 5% of Indonesia's population but controls much of its wealth. According to Nasir, ethnic Chinese need to be more fair and more generous. It's not just Chinese that are being targeted, also China. In a shot across the bow for Indonesian President Joko Widodo, currently in Beijing for that Belt and Road Forum, Nasir told Reuters, "The state should ensure that it does not sell Indonesia to foreigners, especially China." So, Indonesia's got escalating tensions with its Chinese community that are taking on an Islamist as well as an ethnic tinge. And it's got a Muslim insurgency that has already provided refuge to some Uyghurs, including, most notoriously, several Uyghurs who allegedly escaped China with those forged Turkish passports after perpetrating the Kunming railway station massacre in southern China in 2014. If and when the insurgency piggybacks on local anti-Chinese sentiment with jihad-tinged calls to punish the Chinese for their crimes against Islam in Xinjiang, things could get even nastier. Add to that, the Indonesian military, one of the most brutal and political in the world, is allegedly playing footsie with useful Islamists and poised to play the anti-China card in national politics. When China looks along the Southern Crescent, Thailand, Malaysia, Indonesia, and the Philippines, it might consider Central Asian militants in Afghanistan as the most manageable of its Islamist problems. That's all for this week. Thanks for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, stop it! Go to newsbud.com, open your wallet, and join. When you're a News Buddy, you get access to exclusive member content like my Asia Brief videos, and the opportunity to interact with me on the China Watch show pages. And you can sign up for Philip Kovacevich's online course on Anglo-American Russian geopolitics. There are still a few slots left. And please, please contribute to the Newsbud Kickstarter. We're 100% people funded. No ads, no institutions, Only you can make Newsbud happen. See you at Newsbud. I'm Peter Lee for Newsbud's China Watch.
Hi, I'm Sibel Edmonds, founder and editor of Newsbud, a 100% people-funded media. 15 years ago, with multiple invocations of state secrets privilege and several gag orders, I became the most classified person in US history, despite this thing called the Constitution. Why? Because without a free and independent media, the Constitution did not stand a chance against a despotic government. The solution was not changing the culprit media. It was to become one that would be independent by strictly adhering to the following principles. No funding from foundation billionaires, aka sugar daddies. No dependency on corporate advertisement. No affiliation with the divide and conquer partisan groups. A 100% people-funded media with integrity. Here at Newsbud, our formula is very clear and very simple. Investigative reports, information, and analysis delivered professionally, independently, and with integrity. We have brought on board worldwide recognized and respected geopolitical experts. Our technical team members work around the clock in order to bring to you impeccably produced and edited multimedia presentations. Now, let's meet some of these incredible Newsbud team members.
Hi, I'm Brock West from Australia.
I'm Jeff DeRiso from Texas.
Hi, I'm Spiro, and together we are the Newsbud production team.
Every day, we are working hard behind the scenes to create the videos you see and enjoy at newsbud.com.
With our combined years of experience, we aim to create the highest quality media that our supporters demand.
But we're only one half of the Newsbud production team.
Together with our expert hosts,
we are producing daily content
on all the important issues that matter to you.
Hello friends, I'm Professor Filip Kovacevic. I'm the host of the weekly Russian Newspapers Monitor. In the show, I discuss the front page news stories from the major Russian newspapers and tell you what the Russian political elites are reading and writing.
I'm Kurt Nimmo, the producer of the Geopolitical Report, which you can find on Mondays on the Newsbud website. The Geopolitical Report analyzes foreign policy and other current events that the mainstream media refuses to cover.
Hi, I'm Constitutional Attorney John W. Whitehead, President of the Rutherford Institute. Be sure to watch my new show, Battlefield America, every Tuesday morning at Newsbud. We'll be talking about the many ways in which our freedoms have become casualties in the police state's all-out war on the American people.
I'm Peter Lee, and I host Newsbud's China Watch, which airs with a fresh episode every Wednesday morning. Watch it. I'm committed to reporting important news and perspectives on the rise of China and trends in Asia that are reshaping our entire world.
I'm Jeff DeRiso, host of the show Mind Hack. Mind Hack is the show that explores the intersection between the workings of the human mind and the explosion of innovation in the fields of digital technology. So join me each Friday for Mind Hack, only on Newsbud.
Newsbud also offers weekly special productions available only to Newsbud activist community members. In partnership with our supporters, our growing membership base continues to drive our reach, growth, and effectiveness. However, Newsbud's continued success depends on you. Make a stand and join the Newsbud media revolution.
More than ever, alternative media is under attack, and that's why we need your help.
It's time to wake up, America, get formed, get active, and stay in the battle.
Please join me in being a part of the movement for real, honest news.
It is amazing to me what Newsbud has accomplished in less than 1 year. Just imagine where we will be in 1 year from now with your support.
Contribute to the Newsbud Kickstarter and join the Newsbud community.
Support our Kickstarter campaign.
Support this 100% people-funded media platform.
There's corporate mainstream media. There are pseudo-alternative propaganda and agenda-driven news outlets. There are many junk sites delivering junk news. And then there is Newsbud, an independent and professional information source, a nonpartisan medium where people come together rather than being divided. You, our generous supporters and community members, are the reason we exist. You are the power that has kept us operating and expanding towards this amazing success. And you are the sole determinant of the continuation and steady expansion of Newsbud operations. Please join us. Join the Newsbud movement by kindly and generously pledging towards this 100% people-funded media with integrity. Yes, we have accomplished a lot, but this is only the beginning, and that is my promise to you.